it says that the leading coefficient is 1. The leading coefficient is whatever is in front of the x squared or the a squared or the b squared or whatever. Okay? So the leading coefficient is 1 is really, really important. If there's like a 2x squared or a 4x squared or a negative 3, you got to do something different. But as long as the very first thing is 1, which it is in both of these cases, you can do what I'm getting ready to show you. Okay? So for the first one, what you want to do is think of all the factors or all the things that multiply to give you 20. Well, because you start with that last number. Well, there's 20 and 1. There's 10 and 2. There's 4 and 5. And that's it. All right. This sign or this symbol there, it tells me whether we want to add or subtract. It says a plus. So what we want to do after we figured out the things that multiply to give me the last number is I want to add 2 of those numbers that I just listed, and I want to get what's in the middle. So I want to add the 2 numbers and get a 9. So which 2 numbers in that list can I add together and get 9? 4 and 5. Okay? There's no negatives, so I don't have to worry about negatives. Okay? So then your answer, you write 2 parentheses, x in both, because x and x multiplied together makes x squared. And then 4 and 5 at the end. And because we're adding them, we just put pluses. And I'll show you what happens when you get a negative in a minute. And that's the answer. That's it. If I multiplied that out, if I made the box with x plus 4 and x plus 5, or if I did the arrows like some of you do, you would still get x squared plus 9x plus 20. So it's like just going backwards from multiplication. Questions about that problem? All right, next problem. So start at the end and think of all the things that multiply to give you 15. Well, there's 1 and 15.
3 and 5.
And there's 3 and 5. Okay, remember, this sign tells me whether I want to add or subtract. So I want to subtract them. Okay, so I want to subtract those 2 numbers, and I want to get a negative 2 when I subtract it. Well, don't worry about the negative yet. Which of those 2 numbers, when you subtract them, give you 2? 3 and 5.
1 and 15.
3 and 5. So, because they subtract to give me 2, that's the answers. But then I have to decide whether it's positive or negative. Okay? It's a negative 2. So that means that the bigger number, whatever this is, if that's a positive, that's what the bigger number is. If that's a negative, that's what the bigger number is. Okay? So the bigger number is going to be negative. The other one's going to be positive. If that would have been a positive there, you would just switch them. Okay? And then so you have x plus 3 and x minus 5. It doesn't matter what order you write that in. It is okay if you wanted to put the x minus 5 first and then the x plus 3, just the signs have to be the same. Okay, so on the first one, you find the things that multiply to give you 12. So you have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. We wanted to add, so that's got to be 2 and 6, right? So that means x plus 2 and then x plus 6 for that one. There's 2 kinds of problems where you add, and it's the first one and it's the last one. So let's look at the last one as well. So with 25, 1 times 25 is 25 and 5 times 5. We're trying to get 10 and it says a plus, so it's got to be 5 and 5, right? Okay, this one's tricky though because it's got to be a negative 10 instead of a positive 10. So what you do to make it be negative when you add the 2 numbers together is you just make both of them negative. So it's x minus 5 times x minus 5. So number 2, you look at what multiplies to give you 4. Well, there's 4 and 1 and 2 and 2. So it's got to be 4 and 1. 4 and 1 subtracts to give me 3. But how do I get a negative 3 when I subtract 4 and 1? If the bigger number's negative, yeah. So 4 has to be negative. So it'd be x minus 4 and x plus 1. When you subtract it, whatever that sign is tells you which one should be negative or positive.
What if they're both negative? What both of them
Okay, so number 3, the things that multiply to give me 36. There's so many choices here. There's 1 and 36. There's 2 and 18. 3 and 12. 6 and 6. 4 and 9. Okay, you're trying to get 9. There's a minus right there, so I want to subtract them. So it has to be 12 and 3. Okay, because the 9 is positive, that means the 12 is going to be positive. So you get x plus 12 and x minus 3. Okay, so you might see this problem where there's a rectangle and they tell you that the area is x squared minus 5x plus 4. And they tell you that one side is x minus 4 and they want you to find the other side. Okay, here's what you know about area, or should know about area. Area, you take the length and the width and you multiply to give you the area. Okay, they're telling you one side. So to find the other side, what you want to do is you want to factor the area and then see if that helps you. Okay, so let's factor the area. What multiplies to give me 4?
2 times
2 times 2 and 4 times 1. 2 times 2 won't work because I want to add them to give me a 5. But 4 and 1 will. So that should be x minus 4 and x minus 1. And so I'm looking for the side that has the question mark. They've already given me x minus 4 for this side. That means that this side that they're looking for is x minus 1. And I know that's kind of weird, but that's how you can use factoring to answer a question. So they're asking you to do the same thing. They're just asking you, what's that other factor? Okay?